Hello and welcome to the Graveyard Media Podcast, episode 54 for the week of August 20th, 2018. I'm your host as always, Saine Grey. With me is Dalsson.
It's me! I'm here!
And Thel.
Took me for a ride with that intro. Like, I wasn't, expecting that. I was just sort of lazily, we were like, getting stuff ready, and, what I was hearing from Saine was just like, okay, alright, yeah, okay. Hi, welcome to the Graveyard Media Podcast. Oh, fuck!
Well, I said, are you guys ready, like, 3 times, and I was like,
I mean,
okay,
I was
we're going.
more or less ready. All my stuff was set up, but it's like...
You just weren't expecting me to be ready.
Yeah. It sounded like you were still setting some stuff up. Alright.
Alright, so... This week we're going to talk about games and movies we've checked out this week, and then head into some game and movie news.
Yes.
Not much of either. Well, there's a little bit of news.
Not much of any of those things.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's a hair in my webcam. There we go.
Uh-oh.
Alright, so... Would you like to start, though?
I was going to watch Upgrade last night, but then I looked at the time and thought, I probably shouldn't. So I didn't, and I'm probably going to watch it tonight. So I'll talk about that next week.
So I did the same thing as you, except the opposite. I looked at the time, said, I should probably go to bed, but instead I watched the rest of the first season of Punch Man. One Punch Man.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice.
So I've seen the first 12 episodes, which is like the season part, and then I guess they do the flashback when he's training or something.
Yeah.
That's like the OVA or something? I don't know.
I didn't even know there was an OVA, actually, so...
Yeah, it's like One Punch Man Road to a Hero or something like that. I don't know.
That's odd, because didn't his training just consist of push-ups and sit-ups and running 10 miles?
But yeah, that's the thing. I've seen GIFs of that.
Uh-huh.
And I never knew where they came from, so I assumed they came from the first season of One Punch Man. Then I watched all of it, and none of that was in there. So it must be from this OVA.
He explained it to Genos once. Genos was like, but that's just normal endurance training. Then he was like, also, I never used a heater during the winter or a cooler during the summer. And Genos is like, that's not abnormal.
I don't remember that conversation at all.
It was in like episode 3 or something.
Weird.
Yeah, it was really early on in the show, yeah.
It was like a dumb throwaway joke because they intentionally don't want to explain the origin of his powers, probably, I'm sure.
I don't know. Maybe I skipped an episode or something.
I'm gonna assume that's just the origin of his powers, that is just the origin of his powers.
There's like one episode you can't skip, and it's only because it's the best one.
Yeah.
Which one would that be?
The one with the fight between Moomin Rider and the Sea King.
It was like 2 episodes though.
Was it?
That was like a 2-parter or something.
Yeah.
Right. That's why you can't skip one of them.
Anyway, I don't know. Maybe I should just talk about One Punch Man since we're already doing it.
Well, I have one thing that I did watch last night. I watched the first couple episodes of season 3 of the Venture Brothers. Remember how season 6 sort of left you off on something that was like,
season 3?
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. The first 3 episodes of season 7 of the Venture Brothers.
That makes much more sense. I was like, why did you just pick 3 episodes in the middle of the fucking series that came out 10 years ago?
Oh, I watched the new episodes that have come out. In season 6, it left you off on a little bit of a cliffhanger just because of the fact that, that's how they did it. Sometimes there's a little bit less of that than the previous seasons, but they were on an episode crunch. They only made so many, and like last time, the introduction to this season was sort of the season ender for that, and it's fantastic. These first 3 episodes are great, and I hope that they lead into more stuff. I don't know if they're gonna keep doing this thing where these 3 episodes take place over like a singular day and are very connected on like the entire rest of the show. And I don't know if they're gonna keep doing that, but if they do, that would be great. And if they go the other way, that'd also be fine too. I don't give a crap. I'm just happy it's back. It's been too long. Again.
Fair enough.
So yeah. But yeah, this episode in particular.
Is it coming up episodic or is it doing?
It's episodic now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's every week again. It does that for seasons, and then it has like a 2-year hiatus.
Right. Makes sense, I guess.
Yeah.
So I looked, and I did in fact skip episode 3.
Well, that is the reason you missed that conversation.
Apparently, because that was the episode where that conversation happens. I just checked the synopsis.
Wasn't that also? I think that was also the episode with Killer Kabuto in it.
I think it said that.
Who's basically just looks exactly like Eva Jellian.
You sure did, huh?
Yeah.
I think I did that thing where I went to the next episode, and then when I went back to the website, it like said, "Oh, this one." Like I'd already been to that page, so I skipped to the next one, and I just missed it somehow.
Yeah,
or you did something, and something I do a lot for those are like, I click on the next episode, right? I click on another tab. I click over the thing. Forget I already clicked on the next episode. Then click next episode. Then start watching
it. Yeah, done that.
Yeah.
So how did you like One Punch Man?
Did we get through Venture Brothers?
Yeah, I'm good. That was all I wanted to say, because everything else is spoilers, and I want to do that.
So it's good so far? Is that what the takeaway was?
It's fucking incredible so far. Thanks again, Venture Brothers.
As expected, there's this like...
I need to catch up with Venture Brothers, but I don't remember where I left off, so I'm gonna have to like dig through the wiki and...
I forget who I was watching it with too. Which one of you was it?
It's probably Thel.
Saine.
Shit.
Because I watched all of Venture Brothers on my own twice. I don't think I've ever watched Venture Brothers with anyone else, except for Appledan, which I watched the last season with.
I don't remember watching it with anyone.
I think I was watching it with you, Saine. I remember watching it with you, like the first 4 seasons or something. So I'm way behind.
Yeah. Well, if I remember right, you told me that you had seen Gargantua 2, which would only mean you were only a season behind.
I don't know.
I feel like I've never watched that with someone else. I feel like I feel like 90% of the time that I had watched Venture Brothers, I actually watched it on TV. So I don't think I actually watched it with anyone else.
Well, I had to have watched it with one of you fucks, because I wouldn't have watched it on my own. It had to have been one of you.
TV.
No. Because I watched it
You watched it episodically.
It was forever ago. Yeah, I watched it back to back in a row.
Well, here's the question: do you remember tabbing out and doing other stuff while it was on?
No. In fact, I remember it was while I was still on a laptop, because frequently I took the laptop into the kitchen and made myself food while I was watching it.
Well, I mean, that series has been around for so long. It could have been 4 years ago, and I don't remember. But I don't know.
Yeah. Oh well. What does it matter?
Oh yeah, One Punch Man. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Or what I was talking about anyway. It was okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's where I am with it too, honestly.
I don't know, in a weird way. I guess it was just hyped up so much from everyone, and I'm not necessarily saying that hurt my enjoyment of it, but it to actually watch it and feel like it's as flat as it was kind of surprising to me.
It just didn't live up to the hype that was put up for it, right?
Well, it's not that I was disappointed that it wasn't as hype as everyone was about it, but it's more that for it to be that popular, I expected it to be better.
Yeah, that was where I was with it too.
Which is kind of the opposite reaction I had to My Hero Academia, where it was, if anything, it's more popular than One Punch Man, and then I watched it and I could totally see why.
Yeah.
Except, and actually I remember saying when we talked about My Hero Academia that when I watched it, I was surprised that it was as popular as it was, kind of. Not because it wasn't good, but because it is kind of just a better interpretation of a lot of shonen anime. So I was it wasn't like Madoka where they kind of broke new ground, but at the same time, it's like it is firing on all cylinders, and it has high waifu material, so I can see that. I guess.
It has high waifu material. It also has like probably some of the best animation like of ongoing animes right now.
Yeah, it was like like Saine was saying, that's also why I like it. It's like it doesn't do like a thing where it turn like it doesn't turn shonen anime on its head like at all. It just takes what shonen anime is and does it, but really, really good.
Right. Whereas One Punch Man was intending to set out to turn shonen anime on its head.
Yeah, I don't think so though.
Sort of on a joke.
I feel like
and that's the problem.
I
not
feel like its head like Madoka did to Magical Girls, but
I feel like it wasn't. It was kind of a parody, but it wasn't a strong enough parody to actually be parodying anything. It was just kind of like, oh, here's this trope, and it kind of goes opposite of how you would expect it to. But other than that, it's like a throwaway joke that lasts 2 seconds.
Yeah,
like. You're actually talking about the one where the deep sea guy comes, and at the end of that episode, or not exactly the end, but all of the characters, or that one guy shows up, the unlicensed rider, gets the crap beat out of him, and everyone's like, "You can do it!" And then he just gets the crap beat out of him again, and like that is that trope, and it sort of doesn't work, and then they kind of threw it away.
Yeah.
And then he shows up and then does his thing, and then like I don't know. I think I think the biggest. Like, the only thing that I would say that they kind of are maybe subverting a little bit is kind of themselves.
Like, that guy isn't... Yeah.
Like, because Saitama's a really interesting character in a way, because he doesn't give a shit about, like, anything he's doing. But when it comes down to it, he always acts in probably the most heroic way possible, even when it makes him look like the worst person.
Yeah, exactly.
And I thought that episode was a really good example of that.
That's like the shining moment in the anime for me is when, like, after he just comes in and kills the Sea King in one punch. The guy's like, oh, he's just a C-list hero. It can't be that Sea King wasn't really that threatening. And he just undermines all of the sacrifices that all of the other heroes made. And then Saitama immediately turns around and is like, wow, I can't believe they loosened that for me. It was so easy to take all the credit. And like, he wanted to have the credit for that, you know, like saving the day and stuff, because he wants to grow as a hero in his like licensing and stuff.
Yeah, he wants to get a fan club and stuff. But
but in order to keep the public's opinion of heroes in general,
not heroes in general, but all of these other heroes that specifically got hurt, because they were basically he was basically suggesting that everyone else would be demoted.
Yeah, everyone else is just shitty. Yeah. And they weren't. They were really good heroes. The Sea King was just immeasurably powerful. And that's the other thing that I think it does definitely subvert in normal shonen anime. You know, in normal shonen anime, the hero always comes out in the end with like a big bang or a fancy new move, or like just struggling really hard. And it totally, like, that's the whole point.
But I don't think that's a subversion.
Saitama
I don't think it's a subversion. I think they're handling like a parody, because they're still playing that stuff straight. He just doesn't care.
Yeah,
right.
Like,
and the problem, I suppose.
Well, no, they're not. What I'm saying, Saitama doesn't ever have that power struggle or anything. He never has to power up or struggle against anything. He just obliterates everything in one punch, and the conflict comes from him wanting to have to struggle.
But
or his internal conflict.
But again, I don't think that that's a subversion of a trope. Like, I don't know, like, that, yes, he never has to struggle, and that's kind of the point of all of his fights, essentially. But, like, if it is a subversion at all, which I'm not convinced it is, it's not a very strong one, because all that really happens is he doesn't struggle, so they cut out all of that, like them talking to each other about how strong the other one is for like 20 minutes. So they just cut all that out, and instead it's all about him being late to everything. I don't know.
That's fair. Yeah.
And that's one of the things where I feel like I'm completely with Saine here, with the parody really wasn't that strong. I feel like what they could have done if they wanted to make it like a stronger parody or more, that is instead of going the route they did where they have like one character who is the main character being like the parody, and then everyone else is like the actual like shonen anime, like you have Genos and how much like time it spends with all of those characters. If that one character was a completely serious shonen protagonist, but the entire world was a parody, you know, like the whole Grand Theft Auto thing, you know.
I don't know. That,
Yeah,
you know, when it comes down to it, I don't think One Punch Man was bad, and I think it was interesting and fun to watch, but I think it is a little overrated, though.
yeah,
that's fair. I really, really like One Punch Man. Like from the sounds of it, probably more than either of you guys do, but I think it's just like a different taste thing. I don't really know if I can like defend it in a way that would change your mind, hypothetically.
Well, I guess for me, I like characters based on characterization more so than like the fights. I don't know. I think I feel like in a way the appeal of Saitama is that he is so overwhelmingly powerful. And then the interest is in that he has to deal with just being bored of his power. But like I mean, your favorite character is also All Might. Well, while he's an interesting character, he is just kind of like the super overpowered man. So I mean, I don't know.
Sort of. like he was the super overpowered man, and he can't really sustain that anymore.
I mean, I don't know. I think that even at the point they pick up in the start of My Hero Academia, he is kind of still like just super powerful. He just has a time limit now,
right?
You know, and it isn't until like one of the fights in the later end of season 2 or whatever. Is it season 3?
I think it was towards the end of the middle of season 3, actually.
Middle of season 3. Well, there's one episode where that kind of changes, but ultimately, I don't know. Like, he is just kind of like super powerful. So I don't know.
I just like super strong characters.
Yeah,
you like muscle wizards. That's your favorite character.
I do. Yes, I like muscle wizards.
Yeah. Here, another thing that I actually don't think I've talked about on the podcast at all. I finished watching Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Oh, yeah. Why don't we talk about that?
Watching
okay. If you don't know, the difference between Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and the original series is that Brotherhood decided to follow the beautiful word of the cow, Hiromu Akawa's original idea for the manga, and follow that pretty much to the letter.
Well, here's the thing. The original anime did follow the manga
up until it
caught up.
The manga stopped.
And then when it caught up, they just made shit up for the rest of it. Which makes
the
ending a little strange. But I think that it was still a really good series. It's just not the same thing as Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Does Brotherhood step up in any other type of quality, like better animation,
I feel like animation is
art style,
almost exactly the same.
Yeah,
the art style is
it's the same company too.
Yeah,
okay.
The art style is a little bit darker in the original version, though.
Yeah, and it's a little bit yeah.
Like, I don't want to say that the original series was very edgy. But in terms of art style, it is more edgy than Brotherhood. Yeah. By kind of a lot.
Absolutely.
The start of the series is a kid getting his fucking soul sucked out and limbs torn off by trying to reanimate their dead mother. Like I don't think
all that stuff still happens in Brotherhood.
Oh yeah.
I think kind of the biggest difference though is how much weight they put on a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. They put a lot of weight on the scene where that happens when they kind of eventually flash back and show the whole scene in its entirety. That was like a really heavy scene, and they kind of don't ever do that in Brotherhood. They kind of talk about it, but they don't. I don't know.
They do in the second episode, and they call back to it a lot. I fucking loved Brotherhood. I thought it was fantastic. I was really happy with how it ended. I was really happy with how it went. It was that thing like I was talking about with Dalsson, where there's a lot of shonen animes that have like some filler, and it's like Boku no Hero Academia had some filler, but I sort of feel like it's sort of a little bit better. Brotherhood has like none. It's
Yeah,
just a straight shot through a story, and I love it.
That is one of the best parts about kind of both of the series of the Full Metal Alchemist series.
Yeah.
Even the ones that you can kind of say are filler are really character development for off-screen characters.
Yeah.
Or characters who aren't Alphonse and Elric.
Yeah.
So.
And the thing is, with those characters, right? Like, I remember I was talking to Megan while I was watching the thing.
Edward.
Ed and Al don't fucking show up like for like half of the last season or something. Like they're like not major characters until like halfway through. Al doesn't show up for like 5 episodes, and then when he does finally show up, he has to change a tire, and that's it. Like there's a lot of stuff going on with all of the side characters, and they're all wonderful. It's a great fucking show. If you haven't, it's on Netflix. If you ain't seen it, go. It's fucking great. Goddamn, I can't recommend that crap enough.
I watched most of Brotherhood, but I stopped at some point because of other stuff that was happening, and I never caught back up with it.
Oh no.
I don't remember exactly where I was at, but it was after the second Greed was around.
Yeah.
So I was at least a good chunk through it, but
I think the second Greed shows up at the end of season 2.
How many seasons were there total?
What
5.
the fuck is
5?
the second Greed? What is that?
Yeah.
In the first series of Full Metal Alchemist, there is one of every deadly sin. In Brotherhood, there always has to be one of every sin.
Yeah.
So they kind of changed the lore there a little bit, and kind of, to that extent, the original Full Metal Alchemist was about killing all of the 7 deadly sins, ultimately, all the homunculi.
Right.
Brotherhood is about something kind of completely different, especially towards the end.
Right.
Yeah. That being said, I think both of them are really strong anime on their own merit. But Brotherhood does like have a lot more characters that they introduce. They have a lot more storylines that they follow. I think the advantage of the original one is more that it's a very personal kind of story, where Brotherhood is a little bit more more so than necessarily like intensely about the Elrics.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. It is absolutely that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you watch the original though?
I haven't watched very much of the original. I think I saw like the most of the first season, which was about the point that they came up. Because it's like there was a bunch of stuff in Brotherhood, and I might have seen past that, but yeah, there was a bunch of stuff in Brotherhood. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that happening in the original. And then, like, when they got past that, it was all new territory. So
yeah, and it's at that point in both
season 1.
It's at that point in well, actually, the point leading up. I believe the point leading up until that character dying, which is kind of marks the end, or where it diverges. I think that chunk was longer in the original anime versus Brotherhood, where I think they kind of glossed over a lot of that, kind of because it was done already.
Yeah, and another thing is, what I feel like specifically, like maybe it was, maybe I'm misremembering this, but I remember there was one specific character that showed up in Brotherhood that they sort of like went into his backstory, and it's like, hey, fuck you, Ed now. What? Who the hell are you? You don't remember me? No, who the fuck are you? You guys did this thing to me a long time ago. It's like, oh yeah, that wasn't an episode in Brotherhood, but it might have been an episode in the original anime.
Was it the suit of armor guy, or was it
Scar? No, it wasn't the suit of armor guy. It was there was a lot of Scar in Brotherhood. It was one of the guys who palled around with Scar in like season 2 and season 3 and season 4. This guy named Feng, who was
Feng literally doesn't exist in the original.
Oh, all right, never mind.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So
okay.
At least I don't think he did. I'm pretty sure he didn't.
I also read like up to where I'd seen in the original for the like original manga. Because I read like even less of the manga.
Because the original doesn't even have a second Greed. So that's
Yeah, so like at that point,
vis-a-vis, Fang sort of doesn't exist.
yeah, which I thought like he sort of like did exist for like one episode where they went and like dismantled his mining operation and stuff.
It's possible, but if he did exist, he was such a minor character that I don't remember him at all. I feel like he didn't exist, but
yeah, like it felt like he was like something for like a one-off episode or something.
Yeah,
right.
Now that you've seen Brotherhood, I'm interested. I don't know if you're like all done with Full Metal Alchemist, but I think I would say it's worth watching the end kind of seasons of the original just to kind of compare it.
Right.
And because I think the original one is really good, except there are sort of weird things about the end a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it wraps up well.
Like I know what that happened. Like I know what happens in it.
I think it wraps up well, but I just don't. I don't know. I think it's really good, especially with how deep they go into certain characters.
Right.
And again, like you were talking about, there's a lot of Scar in Brotherhood. There's a lot of Scar in the original, except they focus more on Scar, and whereas I think in Brotherhood they talk more about sort of things around Scar a lot of the
Valiant War. They do actually do a lot of focus on Scar in the later seasons, specifically just like, you know, where he goes with everything. In fact, he gets the final battle with one of the main villains of the show, and it was great. I was so happy about that.
Yeah, so does Scar in the other one.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I don't know. I would both are really good. They just have different strengths, I would say.
Yeah. But yeah. That was Full Metal Alchemist. I thought it was great. Oh,
so
yeah. Go ahead.
Any video games that either of you guys have played?
No.
Monster Hunter.
Let's talk about Monster Hunter for 6 hours.
Well, hold on. Before that, Dalsson, we watched a show.
We did, but that's why I want to save that for last because.
Oh, okay.
Or I don't want to save it for last necessarily, but I feel like it'll eat up a lot of time.
Yeah. It'll eat up sometime.
I also watched Crazy Rich Asians.
Crazy
Rich
Asians.
Go ahead, talk about that.
Fuck is that?
It was a rom-com.
Yeah.
A romantic comedy.
You mean like the evil Vulcans from Star Trek?
You're close.
The rom-coms?
That wasn't a funny joke. Don't give him that, Thel.
I understood that reference.
I understood it,
wasn't
but
even
that
a
wasn't
joke.
even...
It was just a...
No. He was referencing a specific Neil Cicierega video.
Fucking Neil Cicierega.
Anyway. Yes. Crazy Rich Asians. I think it was interesting from a social perspective, and as a romantic comedy, I think that it was a good romantic comedy, but it was very predictable kind of because it was a romantic comedy. The premise
as
of
they are.
Well, I mean, ultimately, you go into any romantic comedy, you kind of expect the main characters to like end up together at the end of the movie.
Yeah, it's like watching a superhero movie. You expect the superhero to beat up the bad
wacky shit
guy.
happens, and then they don't get together, and then somebody breaks into an airport, and
someone breaks Batman's back.
I feel like even in like Marvel movies, there's like a range of ways that they can win, and they could range from, you know, one but took a lot of casualties or whatever to like completely won and everything's fine. Whereas I think
to like
there's no
they just straight up lose and everybody dies.
Okay, but that is part one of a two-parter. That's like watching half an episode, so I don't count that one.
Okay, fair enough.
But like, so there's room to move at the end of that. Whereas in romantic comedies, there is one ending, and is that the main characters are together and everything is fine. You know what I mean? Unless it's a tragedy, in which case it's a different story. You know what I mean?
It's not a romantic comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, tragedy is something like Romeo and Juliet, where they both die. Whereas a comedy is something like Hamlet, where everybody dies.
But, so... Yeah, Crazy Rich Asians. It has one of the worst titles I've ever heard.
Yeah, that's
I think...
pretty... Crazy Rich Asians sounded like an HGTV series where they just go to the houses of crazy rich Asians.
Yeah, I'm almost, I'm like this close to saying it's worse than Cowboys versus Aliens. I'm like, I'm not sure which one is the worst title, Cowboys versus Aliens or Crazy Rich Asians.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm gonna go with Cowboys versus Aliens. Because Crazy Rich Asians, right? I feel like that's like a silly enough title to work with a like a romantic comedy movie. Like it sounds silly and kind of stupid, and that's what you should probably go in thinking about it.
As
Cowboys
opposed to
versus
a sci-fi
Aliens
action.
took itself entirely serious. Thanks, Damien Lindelof.
It's like there's actually cowboys and they're fighting actual aliens, and that's the story.
Bitch, you know what you signed up
Actually,
for,
that movie was mostly Cowboys versus Cowboys, and then the last 5 minutes there were aliens. That was like the most Lindelof thing ever to happen.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. From a social commentary perspective, it was really interesting to see. Okay. So the premise of the movie is the female lead is a Chinese American, and she's dating this guy who is a Chinese person from Singapore, but he had lived in like English countries for a lot of his life, so he speaks fine English. But and they're like dating, but he wants to go introduce her to the rest of his family.
Right.
The problem is, because his family is super rich, everyone in his family expects him to bring back someone else who is super rich, and she's like a immigrant who kind of is a self-made like professor. So she's like very intelligent and has done well for herself, but she's not like crazy rich, you know?
Right.
Or part of any like old money family dynasty kind of thing. So they go to Singapore and kind of like, you know, it's the movie is mostly about her dealing with his crazy family members who are all kind of off in their own way.
As rom-coms do. Right.
Well, so what's interesting is the social commentary about how an Asian American is treated by other Asians who don't think they are Asian enough. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think at one point she's insulted by being called a banana. Yellow on the outside and white on the inside.
Right. The age-old fucking...
Right. So I think there's a lot there.
There was a whole episode of King of the Hill about that one.
Yeah, that's where I heard that insult before. I was like, where did I hear that?
Khan,
I know I've heard it before.
Khan joined some Asian country club, and the guy leading the Asian country club was like, do you want to be a banana, Khan?
You are a banana.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It made me think, though. It's one of those movies that really make you think, like, what is the difference between a stereotype and a, like, cultural commonality or predisposition? So, I don't know. There's... It is interesting on that level, but from the base story, it's like, you know, she kind of meets the family, and the family's crazy, and then it doesn't work out, and then in the end it does.
Right.
The way that it does kind of work out is kind of interesting, because it gives a lot of power to the female lead, whereas in most, like, romantic comedies, it's, like, about the guy doing things.
Yeah.
In this movie, it's very much about the woman doing things. And it's kind of interesting because... And I'm very conflicted about this. So the main character is a economics professor who specializes specifically in game theory, which just makes her good at all games, and she kicks everyone's ass in like every game she plays, including like poker and other stuff.
I don't know if that's how it works, but okay.
Game theory does kind of work that way.
That's just a theory.
But game theory is more like, I don't know. I don't want to get into game theory, but like it. Okay, so she's very, like it sets her character up to be very calculating, and then for a large chunk of the movie she acts very emotionally. And then until in the end, she's kind of like, oh yeah, I'm like this game theory professor. I should use some of that. So I don't know. It's kind of it's sort of done in a way that like you can understand, but so I am conflicted about it because it feels like you should have remembered that sooner. You literally, that's what you do every day. But at the same time,
but they
it's
had
like,
to write her emotional because she's a woman in a romantic comedy.
Right. Well, no, because that I don't think it's a situation where they just give her an idiot ball and then she's just dumb for a third of the movie. It's like she's reacting in the way that she thinks is right, but eventually finds out that everyone's kind of out to get her, and she doesn't. That's not something she realizes at first. So
right. Okay.
It does. I don't know. So the movie is really interesting from that perspective, and as a romantic comedy, it ticks all the boxes, and the acting is good. So as a romantic comedy, it holds up, but there is a little bit more of like social perspective going on in it too. So it is interesting on kind of multiple levels, but at the end of the day, it's still a romantic comedy, and if you can't get over that, it's not such a good example of the genre that it's gonna pull people in who don't like the genre.
Right.
Yeah.
So
one thing I want to point out is while we've been discussing this movie, the Now Discussing has said Crazy Rich Asians the whole time. So imagine somebody seeking around in the video and not knowing what we're talking about, and they just seek to a point that says Now Discussing Crazy Rich Asians. Yes, Miyamoto-san, that's one of them.
I feel like enough people have heard that title because it is being advertised all over the place, and it's like
fair enough.
And it's like the highest grossing movie of this week, though.
Really?
I'm not surprised, honestly.
Up.
Well, it has the reason why I watch Crazy Rich Asians, I don't watch romantic comedies very often, but there is nothing playing that is any good.
So it has no competition.
Yeah.
It has the highest Rotten Tomato score out of everything playing right now.
Yeah, not only that, like, its biggest competitor, like financially right now, is The Meg, a movie about a giant shark.
Yeah, in fact,
I thought that book was okay. I read it when I was in middle school because I had to.
I don't know. Jason Statham is a guy. Yeah, no, it's to the extent that the theater that I go to the most has like a bunch of normal screens and then one like 3-story gigantic screen.
Yeah,
it is to the point where they've been playing Meg for 3 weeks in a row on the big one.
Jeez. Because
there's nothing playing. Like usually, most movies don't last more than a week or two on the big. Like most don't last a week. Some like Avengers and stuff, they'll last 2 or 3 weeks at most. But like for the Meg to hit third week on the Cineca pre-screen, like I'm surprised.
Yeah, they just didn't put anything there. Basically,
there's
nothing.
Because in fairness, it's probably more worth watching the Meg on a giant screen about like with a giant shark than it is watching Crazy Rich Asians on a giant screen. But like,
right.
I don't know. Anyway, that's Crazy Rich Asians. It was okay.
Yeah. It was okay. Okay.
So me and Dalsson watched a show this week. We powered through Disenchantment. It was also pretty okay.
Ah, yes.
Disenchanted.
That's Disenchantment.
I think it's Disenchanted.
I think it is also Disenchanted, but I could see it being Disenchanted.
No, it's Disenchantment. Thel is right.
Yeah.
Huh, weird. Okay.
So we watched all of that. It's the new cartoon show from Matt Groening about an alcoholic character.
Just like all of them.
A buck-tooth alcoholic character in their 20s. Unfortunately, it's not so far, of course, it's not as good as Futurama. It ended on a cliffhanger. It's probably going to go some places.
Yeah.
It was okay. It's not a lot of people are giving it a lot of shit. It probably doesn't deserve as much shit as
I don't think it deserves much shit. There were a lot of like it was, normal ass Matt Groening flair. It was relatively episodic. It had some pretty funny jokes in it, good moments and stuff, and
it's just things you can watch on a lazy ass Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, it's like
watch some fucking comedy show.
I have trouble thinking about shows like this now because
Mhm.
I know that I should probably be comparing it more to like Futurama and like American Dad and those kind of shows, but it's
Mhm.
hard for me not to compare a show like this to BoJack Horseman now.
Yeah.
And BoJack Horseman is kind of so much better than all of its competition and like in that kind of space. So
Mhm.
I don't know.
I
Can you
feel
see
like
what I'm saying?
yeah, it's like not even fair to compare something to BoJack Horseman. Because
Yeah, it's like
is
BoJack Horseman blows everything out of the water.
so
It's in its own
incredible.
It's like,
Yeah.
well, here's the thing. Here's my philosophy with that sort of thing is like, you know, there are good writers out there, and if you hired them, you could probably get on the same level of BoJack Horseman. It's just people don't want to take that risk, you know?
In a lot
They
of ways,
could,
in a
but they don't.
in a lot of ways, people seem to value things that aren't writing
Yeah.
in a lot of stuff, and when really like that should be what you're going after. You should be looking for the people who are consistently writing good shit.
Yeah.
Who want to kind of explore their own thing. Now,
Right.
BoJack Horseman is kind of like they kind of went about it in the opposite direction. They started with the concept and then worked on the art and then went to the writing, but like even still, because I watch a lot of behind the scenes on BoJack Horseman because I love it so much. So I kind of know sort of some of the background of it, but yeah, I don't know.
Speaking of, isn't that coming very soon? Very, very soon? Like this week soon?
Wednesday.
Hell yes.
Oh boy.
So I am
well,
probably
guess
gonna
what the next podcast is gonna be about, ladies and gentlemen.
Probably gonna disappear for a week. I don't know. I think that we're almost gonna have to. Maybe we want to do a spoiler thing a few days later.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Like, we talked at like when we were starting the podcast, we talked about BoJack for the first like 10 episodes and kind of just danced around everything because it's so hard to not say spoilers.
Yeah, I feel like we can talk about our general feelings on the podcast next week, but I think we might want to have a separate video just on how we feel about spoilers, depending on how we feel on the show afterwards. But
I'm sure it's going to be phenomenal. It always is.
Yeah, you never know.
Well, the thing is, one of the things I'm really excited with BoJack this year is because they always take pot shots at Hollywood, and this year and like
it's
last
been a crazy
we have
year.
had a fucking crazy year for Hollywood. Oh boy,
yeah.
I am excited for like.
Now hold on though, about Disenchantment.
Yeah, why don't we talk more about that?
Anyway.
So they have a few like central pivotal characters, right? There's I think her name is Bean, or she's like Princess Intrahala, who's a Bean Mint, and they just call her Bean for short. Yeah. And Tia Beanie, that's it. And so like she's just this drunk asshole. She lost her mom, and her dad is
Fry from Futurama. Fry, but like girl.
Yes.
Who also actively
I don't know.
She's crimes.
She's not like dumb. She's more like Bender, but girl. She's not stupid. She's just, makes poor life choices.
Yeah.
For example,
hanging out with Eric Andre.
Hanging out with Eric Andre, who plays a little demon that's always in one static pose with his arms outstretched. He's great. I like it. And there's a running gag about everybody thinking that demon is just a talking cat, even though he looks nothing like a cat. And it does this weird thing where it makes it look totally episodic, and they're like, oh, we need to get elf blood. But that's like every episode is just about some random crazy bullshit until the very end, where it's like, they even call attention to it. They say, all that schlock about elf blood through the whole season, it actually came to something. Imagine that.
Yeah.
So it's like,
the first couple of episodes like followed a plot with the elf blood, and then they sort of dropped it for most of the season and then brought it back. And it was like they were doing the same thing the entire season with the elf blood. They were trying to find the elixir of life, which was made with elf blood.
I think the show generally just works better episodically.
Yeah.
And having
Weirdly enough.
blood isn't that elf blood thing literally a joke from Futurama?
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that it is like word for word a joke in Futurama.
Yeah,
Very
and then
well
like
might be.
so like there were what 10 episodes? Yeah, so it goes like through 10 episodes, and it does like it's just a bunch of 10 episodes of random gags and stuff. You know, it's good for what it is. It's Futurama or The Simpsons. You know, same kind of humor and stuff.
It's the
And
same
then
kind of humor, yeah.
after going through 10 full episodes, at the very end, at the end of the last season, that's when they set up like 40 different things, which won't have a payoff until next season.
Yeah.
And they don't set up hardly anything in the rest of it, so it's like the pacing is really weird as far as story goes.
So
And the thing is
here's
about-
a question. I have a question about that.
Okay.
Hit me with it.
So if you were to compare this to the first season of Star Versus, which is very similar to what you just said, do you think the ending that sets up a bunch of stuff is interesting enough to like make you want to watch in season 2? Should I watch this as it is, or should I wait to see if there's a payoff and hear from other people that I should watch it?
I would say wait.
I would say the opposite. I would say just watch it as it is, because I don't think that the stuff that they set up is interesting enough that you'll be like, oh, I can't believe it ended on that. I can't wait to see what's going to happen. I think that the strong suits of the show are the jokes and gags that they make in episodes, and like this story that it's driving is not really like interesting. Yeah. I like the characters for what they are, but I don't think that it's something that
the overarching story is currently a little bit bland. Maybe it'll get better. I don't know.
Like there's this big reveal in the last episode about, oh, this character was evil the whole time, but we don't really get to see any of that character in any of the rest of the series. So it's like,
yeah.
Well, yeah.
Here's the thing. I was thinking about this last night, right? So we watched the end finale of the season of Disenchantment, which was like this giant thing that culminated in a what was essentially a battle for the entire kingdom. Multiple characters were revealed to be multiple things. There were a ton of twists, and that was a billion times less interesting and less cathartic than the season 3 ender of The Office, where 3 people tried to get a job and 1 person was unhappy about that.
Yeah, we watched those 2 things like back to back, and I was like, wow, the season finale for The Office, it sets stuff up and knocks it down all nice and clean.
We finished this channel. I was like, that was fun. Yeah, it was fun. We finished that last episode. I was like, damn, that was some good shit. Fuck.
So like,
are you watching the American Office or the British
the American one? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you already watch the British one, or are you watching the?
We haven't watched the British one.
We haven't watched the British one.
My final thoughts, I think, on Disenchantment is it's worth watching. It's not worth following, if that makes sense. Like, it's not something I'd want to follow like I want to follow Star Versus or DuckTales or BoJack, but you know, it's worth watching. Like, sit down, watch it for a few hours, and then be like, okay, well, that was funny. I liked it.
I don't know. You're not selling me on it very much, because I feel like of all the people like to give that kind of advice, that seems to be the weirdest for you, because you don't watch anything on your own. So like when you're saying sit down and watch it, you're saying like open it in a tab on your left screen and then play a video game on your main one. So I'm not going to invest the time to watch it, because when I watch things, I watch them. You know what I mean? I don't multitask the same way, so I feel like from what I've been told, that's not.
I mean, like maybe if you're like hanging out with a friend or something and you're like, let's just do something lazy and watch something, turn on the TV and pop up your Netflix. In
fairness, I guess I watched all of Big Mouth in like one sitting.
Yeah. I'm not saying go watch it right now. I'm not going to say that to anybody, but I'd say like if you're bored and you can't think of something to do, just throw on Disenchantment. It's okay.
I feel like there's better stuff on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say give it till the next season. A lot of people really didn't like this season. A lot of people are shitting on it hard, and I don't believe it deserves like the hard shit it's getting.
Right.
But you know, it's fine. Maybe give it to the next season if you want to wait for the good shit, which it might show up, might not. Who knows?
And I feel like a lot of shows like this take a little while to find their footing. I think even Futurama at first was a little rough.
Matt Groening shows especially. Like, we watched through the first couple of seasons of The Simpsons recently, too, and the first season was much worse than the second and third season.
Yeah.
So, Matt Groening shows historically always have to give it a little time to get rolling, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
And it was like the first season of like the reboot of Futurama was really, really bad. And then like, because like I had dropped that straight up, and then I went back and rewatched like the whole thing, and it's like as it went on, it got a little bit better. But yeah, like the first I think it was like the first couple of episodes were kind of bleh.
Yeah.
All right.
And Gardevoir in chat makes a good point. I think this actually sums up what I should have said. It's good to watch the first few episodes to kind of see if for yourself if the humor, the style suits you. Since the story's nothing special, the thing to watch it for would be the humor. So just see if you like that.
Yeah.
I feel like this is one of those shows that's like, if you already have Netflix, maybe give it a shot, but it's nothing to subscribe for.
It's not.
Don't grab Netflix.
It's not pull you to Netflix. Yeah. You grab Netflix, you grab it for BoJack, you grab it for fucking. What was the other one?
The millions of Marvel shows.
The millions.
Oh, I mean, yeah, Luke Cage season 2, fucking Daredevil, fucking
Jessica Jones.
Stranger Things. That was the one I was thinking of.
Right.
Yeah. Those are two like really big selling points for Netflix. This is like you got
House of Cards. Like the first couple of seasons were really good. Orange is the New Black, though I haven't seen any of it.
Every time you say House of Cards, I confuse it with House of Cosby's. So every time you say House of Cards, I think of House of Cosby's, and I'm like,
Rick and Morty is gonna force that man to keep him from ever finishing House of Cosby's. God damn it, he left us on a fucking cliffhanger with that shit. I am still mad. What the hell was Girl Cosby pregnant with? What's going on, Justin? You motherfucker! God damn it. Anyway, let's move on.
Some people still like Mad Men.
Oh yeah, Mad Men is it ended, but it's also on Netflix. Yeah,
sure. So video games. I think I might be the only one who played anything but Monster Hunter. Surprisingly, that I played something other than Monster Hunter.
Yeah, I didn't do shit.
I picked up and played a game called Battle Brothers. For all intents and purposes, it is essentially a tactics version of Mount and Blade. And when I say tactics, I mean like top-down view, control your units, turn-based thing. You build up this band of men, and you control, up to, I think at the beginning you can control up to like 12 men, and you just kind of run around, hunt bandits, do quests for towns, get your renown up and stuff. It's pretty much exactly like Mount and Blade conceptually. Except the combat system is very different. The combat system is what I have the biggest problem with in this game. And it's not... What it boils down to is it's too fucking hard. I can have 12 guys with, like, equipped in, like, chainmail and padded leather. 3 bowmen have a perfect line of, like, spear walls. And the monsters will just run up to me. The monsters and or brigands who are wearing scraps will run up to me, dodge every single spear, break a shield instantaneously, and then cut off my spearman's head. And then the other 4 brigands will just run past my spear wall, kill all of my archers, and I'm dead in 1 turn. And I'm like, all right, that sucked. And even if I do really well in a combat, I still wind up losing 3 or 4 people, which for what the quest is paying, I can't afford to hire more men. So the game is just really hard, and I think it works to screw you over, a la XCOM, So I intend to put more time into it, but my initial thoughts are not fantastic. Like, I really like it from a conceptual standpoint, but it's just like I cannot make any progress in that game whatsoever because I lose too much for every investment that I make,
I'm also not a fan of the art style personally. That's kind of
it's pretty simple. Like, there's not really much.
That's kind of like I don't know. It's not that it's simple because a lot of like turn-based strategy don't need to be that complicated, but I just think it looks kind of ugly.
I mean,
that's like a personal preference kind of thing.
Fair enough, but they're a bunch of dirty medieval swordsmen, so
Yeah, but
Yeah, it kind of
But,
does
like-
have that big head thing going on, huh?
okay, but I
Yeah.
don't know. At the same time, I'm not personally into the theme of Darkest Dungeon, but Darkest Dungeon has similar stuff and it looks better.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. It's not just that it's simple. It can be simple, but I don't know.
Right. And if you even if you watch the trailer, it's sitting there and the player is getting his ass beat when he clearly has superior units.
I always have trouble talking about simulation games like this, to like especially turn-based tactical RPGs, because a lot of the time you'll get comments like, "Oh, you were just playing wrong. Like this is how you should do it," and it's like
It's probably true. It's
I think
not a phone game.
like 90% of the time, when it comes to games like that, you're doing it wrong.
I'm
I don't
certain that I'm doing
Oh,
something.
I don't mean
wrong.
you.
just
I mean
can't
like
figure out-
Yeah.
Oh
just
no,
in general.
yeah. But
yeah.
but in this case, I'm doing something wrong is accurate. I'm sure I'm doing something wrong. I just cannot figure out what it is, and
At the very
I've
least, it
restarted,
doesn't
like,
it doesn't
20
do a good
times.
job of telling you what you should be doing instead, right?
Yeah, exactly. It definitely doesn't do a good job of that.
Yeah. So.
And then of course I picked up Fire Emblem Heroes.
Oh yeah.
Finally started playing that, and I have no fucking clue what I'm doing, and I'm scared to invest anything into anyone because I don't want to like even with that little tier list that's floating around, I don't want to invest something into someone and then find out, my investment was wasted because I have to do polls for like 20 years to make this unit good to get the right skill set. So I don't want to invest in it only to find out that I can only make half the investment and then that investment's just wasted.
I think you're looking at it wrong, because even I feel like a lot of characters are good anyway. And even the ones that do take a lot of investment, it's not as if they're useless before you give them like the best things for them.
Okay.
Like, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. I would ultimately choose characters you like and or are ranked high on the tier list, and then play with those. And you don't necessarily have to give them everything or pull characters for everything. And even when it comes to pulling, for the most part, I would recommend trying to get specific characters, and you'll get all of the trash along the way.
That makes sense.
Like, for instance, if they have a banner with like Ike on it, and you really think that's a cool character, or I don't know,
and we like Ike,
whoever,
of course.
Insert any character, right?
Right. Yeah.
Then you try to pull for that character, and you'll get stuff along the way that'll have the skills that you need for other stuff. So I don't. I guess starting out is probably the hardest part, but
it's like an overwhelming amount of stuff to take in. It's like, do I continue pushing on the story mode? Do I just do I want to do this whatever it's called, the thing that Tempest Trials? Do I just want to spend all my stamina on that all the time? I probably should, because that's a limited event, but it's like I just don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And of course, I'm just bumbling around and doing random stuff. It's not like that's blocking me from playing the game, but I'm always in the back of my mind, I'm like, is this really a good use of my time for this game, or should I be doing something else?
Honestly, I would say, with the exception of Tempest, it doesn't really matter what you do in what order or whatever. Like, if you like the arena, play in the arena. If you like the story mode, play in the story mode. If all you want to do is level characters up, there's the training yard for that. Like, any of use of your time is good use of your time ultimately. The only thing I would say is the Tempest gives you so many great rewards that you probably do want to use the Tempest.
Yeah. Right.
Even if all you're doing is training units using Tempest, it's still worth training characters in Tempest. So
right, because you'll slowly accumulate those points.
Right.
That makes sense.
And you don't lose, like, when the game first came out, when your characters died, they didn't get any experience for that match.
Oh.
That
sucks.
So what you would have to do is you would have to keep them alive. And if they lived through a combat, then they would get their experience. A la Fire Emblem, right?
Because in normal Fire Emblem games, if a character dies, they're just fucking dead forever.
Or at least if you play on the mode, in the later games, they also have a mode that they just don't get any experience from.
Okay.
So it's like, getting no experience is like the normal mode, or I don't know, even maybe the easy mode of Fire Emblem, and then like permadeath is like what Fire Emblem's kind of known for.
Right.
And they never did permadeath, but they did do that experience thing. But I think people complained about it so much that they stopped doing it, especially in the training yard, because it would kind of suck if you were trying to train like this green character, but he kept dying, you know?
Right.
The exception is like certain maps, none of your characters are allowed to die or you instantly lose. So they kind of make up for it later by just having things where everyone has to live anyway.
Right. Makes sense.
But yeah, I don't know, like, there's really no bad use of your time, and really it's going to take time to get characters that are good anyway.
That's fair.
Because they're constantly rotating the banners, like the sets of characters you can summon. And if they're featured as a character in the banner, you're more likely to get them.
Okay.
So if there's a picture of like Hector and Lind and Camilla on a banner, then like there's a 3% chance you'll get one of those, and there's a 3% chance that you'll get a different gold character.
See, one of my problems with, like, I don't even know what kind of character I do like, because I know 2 Fire Emblem characters, Lyn and Barst. Those are the 2 characters that I know, because that's the only Fire Emblem game I've ever played.
And Barst is kind of garbage, by the way.
And then, of course, you know, Ike and Marth and Roy and Lucina and Robin, and there's probably 3 or 4
Smash Bros friends.
Yeah, the Smash Bros friends.
Yeah, I don't know. And Corrin. Yeah.
Corrin, that was the one I was missing.
See, I have never even played. Actually, that's not entirely true. I've never like played for a long time any of the Fire Emblems. So I was coming into it even more blind. And really, it was like me looking at the tier lists and deciding which characters were good, and then falling in love with specific characters who were already kind of good. So I don't know, like, I don't think that's a barrier of entry for people who've never played the game before, because I had never really played Fire Emblem before that anyway. So I think it's my favorite mobile game that I've ever played, because it actually has the most like actual gameplay. That is much more deep than it might let on at first. So
yeah, like, see, the first time I tried it, like when it came out, it didn't seem very deep at all. It was like, this is just a dumbed down version of Fire Emblem. It's like, okay, well, I attacked him, I just play rock paper scissors, and that's it. And I mean, that's like mini mobile games, you know, to the point where they even classify weapons as red, green, and blue instead of sword, axe, and spear.
That's not entirely true.
What do you mean?
There's red, green, and blue, but there's also abilities that only affect spears and swords and whatever. And then even if multiple things are the same color, like Dragonstone could be blue or spear could be blue, like there still is overlap, but
okay, that's fair.
Sorry to contradict you there. Yeah, and magic. My point was that was the initial impression that I got from when I first played it. Yeah. And I'm really enjoying it now that I've delved in and like kind of looked at all of the stuff that's available to do. So yeah, that's fun. Yeah.
I don't think I really have anything else to discuss. I've mostly just been playing Monster Hunter, which is kind of a problem.
We've all been that lately.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter's all I ever need.
And I don't really have any updated thoughts on it either. Right. Like, it's just more Monster Hunter, and it's good.
Do you like it? Do you like it better than you did last week? Because I know that both of you, like, were just kind of saying, I think all 3 of us were just kind of focusing on a lot of negative stuff. Is there any, like, particularly good things you can, like, point out?
I like the fact that there are things like the Tail Rider Safari, just like little almost like mobile game passive things that you can do in the game. that like continue as you do quests and stuff,
Right.
more materials and stuff. That's really
like
nice. It adds like a little
farms.
bit a little bit more to the game. You know, like the game itself is fun. I like the game base. I don't like the party system and how it was ported to the PC. Those are my biggest problems with it, especially because it took like 6 fucking months to get it to us.
Right.
I am very conflicted about the game. I think it's a good game, but there are aspects of the game that I really don't know if are for me. But over time, I'm sort of learning to ignore my gripes. But I think the strongest bit of Monster Hunter for me is that it's really easy to just pull up and do something in the background while talking. And we did that a lot of last night.
Yeah, I think last night we just went into some quests, failed them like 4 times, and we didn't even really care because we were discussing something else. We were just like hunting something while we were talking about something else.
Right. And I think that it's a good replacement for, it's like a cooperative replacement for something that like what we would normally be our bread and butter games, which are all competitive games.
We would go to like something like Heroes of the Storm, which we could
Or,
start
like,
talking about
even.
stuff and then be like, oh no, we got to start talking about the game, talk about strategy. And then we just get so into the game that anything that we would talk about or do otherwise just gets lost.
Or even if what we do want to do is focus on the game, it's still a nice competitive or a cooperative replacement for competitive games. And which I don't always feel like playing competitive games, so having an option like this is like Monster Hunter is not probably ever going to be my favorite game.
Sure.
But I understand why other people like it, but for me, it's not ever going to be my favorite game. But this will always have a space on my hard drive because this is something that I could feasibly come back to forever.
Right.
Yeah. So
exactly.
I think that it is very good for that. So I don't know.
See, like, I've pretty much almost completed the armor set that I need for my greatsword, and I don't think I'm even halfway through the high rank story yet. And so it's like there's just so many different things to do that
and that's only for your main character build. You could have 4 or 5 other side builds that you just feel like messing around with. Like that's one advantage of the game. There, like, I don't like how they rolled complexity out to the players for people who've never played it before. But once you get to the higher end, like, it is nice that there is that complexity. Yeah. I just wish they streamlined certain things, especially in the beginning, because, like, you're constantly being bombarded with tutorials that are uninteresting to look at. Things that are delivered in very boring ways. And constantly mixed in with characters just talking to each other about useless information.
Yeah, exactly. That was my big problem with the tutorials. It's like they're sort of almost mixed in with the story, which I kind of want to skip most of because I ain't in Monster Hunter for the story about how they got to a new land and have to fight Zora Magnaros and keep it outside of the the waters of life so he doesn't die there and blow everything up. I'm not in Monster Hunter for that, because that's not the really interesting stuff about Monster Hunter.
And look,
the interesting stuff about Monster Hunter is in the title. It's the hunt and the monsters.
And look, even if I was interested in the story, that doesn't mean I want the armor smith to talk to me for 2 or 3 lines every time I talk to him to make something.
Yeah.
Like, I wish that guy just couldn't talk.
Yeah.
I wish it was a vending machine. Honestly, like, I don't want to ever talk to that man. But he constantly is like, here, I'm going to talk to you about, I don't know, because I've literally never read what he said to me.
Well, here's the thing. It's weird that they, like, when you walk up to the man, he starts talking to you, right? Because then when he makes the armor, they have, like, this really quick, really, like, concise cutscene of like make it, and there's no dialogue. Everyone just like goes they put some stuff in, smack on some swords, boom, cha-ching, there you go. It's like this really quick cut, really visual thing. It's like, why isn't that the whole
shut up and make my armor. Like, if you wanted to go and talk to people, you would go and talk to your commander or the guildmarm replacement. I forget what her
or
name
NPCs that are clearly not vendors. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's one thing I hate about Monster Hunter, but like that is like such a minor complaint in the scheme of it. So it's whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, hunting monsters is fun as hell. I got into the light bowgun, and it's fun as hell to like shake my ass and tell monsters to come over here, and then just watch them explode. It's like my favorite shit to do in the entire game.
Honestly, if Monster Hunter wasn't built as an online game, I would probably mod out everyone talking, probably.
Right.
Oh yeah,
if possible, like I would just make it so that vendors never talk to you, and I don't know, just. But because it is like an always on online game, it's like whatever.
Yeah,
I think I don't even know if you can play it offline, but
I don't think
you can, but I don't know if you can like there's an offline mode, but I don't know if there's like a way you can actively turn offline mode on.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Yeah, so I think that's about it for anything that we've been doing this week.
Do we want to take a break? We want to take a break, right?
Let's take a break.
Yeah, let's take a short break. I need to cool off a little bit.
Why don't we come back at 5:20? That's in 7 minutes. Sound good?
Sounds good. Yep.
Sounds good to me.
All right. We'll be back in a little bit. All right, we're back.
Yay!
For some reason, my hotkey for unmuting wasn't working, so I had to manually do it.
Weird.
Oh.
Which is probably why that one time it got fucked up.
Yeah, that would do it.
Probably.
The hotkey works to mute everything, it just doesn't work to unmute it for some reason.
I think there's separate bindings for that, actually.
Oh yeah, I probably have to hit Control-Shift. Anyway. We're talking about news.
Yeah.
Of which there's some.
My favorite part.
It's like 5 newses.
Maybe we should get like music for the news, so it goes bump up up bump up up bum. No, that sounds like the Doom music. Never mind.
Yeah, that sounds great. That's a great idea.
No, we get like a soft piano version of E1M1. There we go.
We have to
like in between each news story, we play the Doom riff.
We'll have to get a cover, some sort of. One of us will have to cover some music from the first Doom, because the first Doom is open source. So I think you can use. Oh. I think you can use Doom 1's music, like remixes of that, but I don't think you can use any of the new Doom compositions music, because then it is copyrighted. Yeah. I wonder how that works. I wonder if their music is still technically copyrighted if the game is open source. I don't know, because it probably is, because the music is still copywritten, but the code is like not copywritten.
Yeah.
Anyway,
all I know is that if we're going to use Doom music for this, we can't burn any cats.
Oh yeah, that turned out to be illegal.
Old ass joke. I'm sorry.
Last time we tried it, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah.
All right. So why don't we stop with gaming news?
I'd like to apologize. We're gonna start with that. Okay.
Yeah, we'll start with gaming news. I don't want to talk about Philip Mewson anymore. He got caught doing more plagiarism from before. That's the update. The update is he got caught doing more from even farther back.
God damn.
Unexpected, but still hilarious. Go fuck yourself.
Good work, IGN. You're the fucking absolute worst.
Yeah, we talked about this at length in the last one. Well, it's not IGN's fault. It's this guy's.
Oh yeah, it's this particular guy's fault. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, he's the one who's been plagiarizing. They didn't necessarily know. They didn't watch the fucking video that he plagiarized.
Hey, they did the right thing. When they heard about it, they immediately took it down and then fired his ass when they decided.
Yeah, fair enough. That's the right thing. Yeah,
that was the correct response. It was the only available response, really.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I don't know. They could have tried to defend him or made some shit up or something, but they didn't. So good.
Yeah, they didn't. They're getting better. They're learning. Remember back when Mass Effect 3 was an absolute train wreck, and they were like, "Well, gamers are just entitled. They think they're entitled to a good game."
Yes.
Was that IGN or Kotaku?
It was IGN that started it. And
Okay.
Kotaku was like, yeah!
IGN released a very specific video called The Problem. It was like called The Problem with Gamer Entitlement or something.
Oh,
It was
okay.
like, yeah.
That seems like more of a Kotaku thing to do, but
It really does.
I could see it being IGN too, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is news about Twitch Prime.
Yeah. I actually received an email about this today. Twitch Prime membership, the one that comes with Amazon Prime, will no longer be offering ad-free viewing to streams starting, I believe, September 15th?
14th.
14th. I was close. Yeah.
Oh, wait. Okay, so okay. Beginning September 14th, people who have monthly subscriptions will have until October 15th. And anyone who is subscribed to Amazon Prime through an annual membership will have until the end of their next annual membership.
Okay, that's understandable. That's actually a very fair way to do it because you already paid for that that time expecting the whole year, right? So so good on them.
So I don't have to watch Twitch ads for kind of a long time. Oh, that reminds me, I should sub to you right now while I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. So you can still get ad-free viewing by subscribing with Twitch Turbo, which is slightly cheaper. It's exclusive to Twitch, and you don't get your free monthly subscriptions like Saine just did. Thanks, Saine. Etc. And the like. You also don't get all of the free games that come with it, which I think, I don't think I've ever played any of the free games or used much of the free loot that they give out with Amazon
I think
Prime.
The only one
Prime.
I had was PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and I mostly just sold them for Steam money.
Yeah. So, but the point is, I prefer. I'm already paying for Amazon Prime. I'm not paying for Twitch Prime. That is not the reason I have it. I'm paying for Amazon Prime, so I already have it, and I just get extra free shit with Twitch. If I wanted ad-free viewing on Twitch, if that was very important to me, then I would just get Twitch Turbo. So it's good that that's still an option to pay for no ads.
Although in a way, if the reason why you had Twitch Prime was only for ad-free viewing, or Amazon Prime, I guess, you can cancel Amazon Prime and get Twitch Turbo, which is cheaper by $2. So I don't know if you're the very small percentage of people who only have Amazon Prime for Twitch, then you save $2.
Yeah, essentially you're just getting it cheaper. So I don't know. It sucks that I'm gonna have to watch ads again, but I don't really care. I don't care to watch. I don't care whether I have to watch an ad every once in a while if I'm trying to watch my favorite streamer. It doesn't matter. You know?
At least for me, it's not till March of next year.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Oh, and then on top of that, I didn't post this separately, but Amazon Prime is taking away that 20% off of pre-orders.
Oh, yeah, I
which
forgot
is
about
kind
that.
of a big thing. It's like a 20% discount if you bought a game before it came out.
It's pretty huge, right? But what they were replacing it with instead $10 credit, which works out
store credit,
better for some games. Like games that are cheaper than 60. If it was at 60, you'd save $12, right?
20,
but say
almost.
Well, 20%. 20% of 60 is $12. So you'd save a little bit more than the $10 rebate they're giving instead. But if you're if you're pre-ordering a game that's 40 or 30, then you're actually getting a little bit more. So it kind of evens out depending on how many games you actually pre-order through Amazon.
It is 12.
The problem that I see with that is that instead of just saving you money right off the top, they give you $10 in Amazon credit. So it doesn't save you money, it just gives you money to spend elsewhere on Amazon.
Yeah, it's not even quite a rebate.
Yeah. But you don't have to wait for a fucking rebate card in the mail, so that's good.
Yeah, I guess. How do you feel about that ultimately, personally? I
don't pre-order that many games on Amazon. It doesn't really affect me. And if I do, then it's like, oh, cool, I got $10 to spend on a fucking power cable or something. Whatever. Doesn't matter.
For me, I took advantage of this once, I believe. Because I have Amazon Prime for other stuff. Like I don't really use Amazon to buy games because I buy majority of games even on consoles digitally because I prefer to have them digitally.
Yeah.
So the only one that I ever bought physically was a PS3 version of Persona 5. And I got that. I swear it was $20 off though, so it might have been like a different kind of deal.
Maybe
it was pre-purchasing was $20. I don't know, something like that.
I got a significant amount of money off of my Fallout 76 pre-order. Come to think of it, because I ordered the like expensive version.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. It was helpful. It was nice every once in a while, but I don't think it's going to affect me majorly. And I know that it will affect some people much more majorly than it affects me, but I just, like, I don't know.
Well,
I don't think that they're burning it to the ground or anything.
Even then, at most, for the 20% thing anyway, like, you'll lose $2 a game.
Yeah, on average.
Yeah, at the high end. If you only bought $60 games.
Let's be honest. If you have Amazon Prime, and the only thing you use Amazon Prime for is to pre-order video games, then you're wasting your money on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Like, well, it depends how many video games you buy, I guess.
Sure, but
the
point is you're likely going to be spending that $10 elsewhere on Amazon anyway eventually. So
it's but I don't think it's necessarily a waste if all you bought is video games, but but let's move on, because I don't know. I don't know how much I care. I mean, ads kind of suck, but like, I don't know.
It's I think that people are up in arms about it, but I think they're overreacting. It's not that big of a difference, really.
I don't even know if I really think they're overreacting. I think that it just, other people care about it more than I do.
Maybe.
I don't mind watching ads that much. I like when I can avoid ads through paid services, but I don't know.
Yeah. So the Spyro Reignited trilogy is being delayed until November. November 13th is the official release date that they have right now. And the statement they made on it is, everybody loves the Spyro trilogy and we really, really want to get it right, so we're delaying the release.
You know,
that's it.
Honestly, I saw this coming a mile away because of the kerfuffle around the box copy of the game only having the first game on it. That says to people that games 2 and 3 aren't done yet, and so we don't want to put them on the disc yet.
Yeah.
So maybe this pushing it back will fix that issue, and maybe they'll actually put all 3 games on it when it comes out. Or they might not do that, and it might be exactly the same it was, but they are spending more time on it. But I don't know. It seems like this was like a likely sign anyway.
Yeah.
I just don't understand. I don't get how, because they had to rebuild this game from scratch, like from the ground up.
Yeah.
I don't know why they announced it when they did if they weren't on track to release it on time.
Right.
And usually you can tell beforehand. It's unless some game-breaking bug appeared out of nowhere that sent them back. Like, usually they kind of have an idea of where they're at, and so I don't know.
Exactly. One of the reasons I think that they might have thought it was a good idea to release it when it was so far away was because they were probably afraid that maybe the hype from the Crash Bandicoot trilogy would peter out. Like, I mean, I'm not like defending them or anything. Just like, this is maybe what they thought. I of course don't think it would have or would have like mattered that much. I'm pretty sure people would have been excited for this shit no matter what.
But
they were thinking.
So, but when they announced it kind of at the height of the popularity for the Insane trilogy, so
yeah. So Gardevoir in chat says it sounds kind of like a scam because people are paying for one thing and getting only part of it. To an extent, I agree. It would be nice if
the Amazon Prime thing.
Was that to the Amazon Prime thing? I thought I saw that pop up when we were talking about
I'm
this.
not sure.
Well, if it was in
yeah.
regards to Spyro, they still have only the first game on disc, but you have to download 2 and 3, which, like, if the reason why you're buying the physical copy is for the physical copy, then yeah, I like, to an extent I agree, but you are still getting it, even if it's in a way that you might not want. So I don't know.
It's just not. It's the same as like.
I wouldn't go as far to say it's a scam, but it is
buy like
not cool.
Fucking Valve games, oftentimes they'll send you a disc that just launches Steam and downloads the game.
If it has a disc, it might just be a code. It might be an empty box with a code in it. I've seen that before.
Exactly.
So, yeah, so I don't know. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Stellaris is is one of the first like sci-fi grand strategies to get on consoles.
That's cool.
Okay, yeah. Good for you, Stellaris. You've done surprisingly well for yourself and have constantly updated with only good updates, changing the game entirely. You've released some DLC. You're a Paradox game, but you've released some DLC, which is incredible.
Not all of the DLC.
You haven't released so much DLC that the game is unplayable without paying for all of the DLC. A lot of the major changes you've made have been for the base game. Good job. Good work, Stellaris.
See, I don't really like Stellaris much. I don't like the fact that it is a grand strategy RTS. I would rather have my grand strategies turn-based so that I can take my time and think about all of my grand strategy. And yes, there's a pause feature, but then if I use the pause feature, it feels like, okay, I've planned everything out during the pause. Now I unpause and just sit back and wait, as opposed to doing it like piece by piece. I like Endless Space much better because of the fact that it's turn-based, even if they are very similar.
Well, even if, I mean, I probably shouldn't argue because there's no reason to arguing, but I'm going to argue anyway because I can't help it. If what you're doing is
everybody's sane.
if what you're doing is just pausing, setting everything up, and then waiting, aren't you doing the exact same thing you would do in a turn-based anyway? Except instead of waiting for the enemy's turn, you're waiting for your stuff to happen.
Not necessarily, because in the middle, like, during the enemy's turns happen, and then I get to look at the enemy, what happened with the enemies at my leisure, look at everything they did, and then be like, okay, this is everything that I need to do now. Whereas in Stellaris, it's like you can wait for everything to happen, and then suddenly the enemy pops out and starts shooting you. So you have to go and pause, and then you pause, you look at the battle, and then you're like, okay, well, how's this battle going to play out? I didn't expect that this enemy would show up because they're doing it in real. They're flying around in real time instead of I know that they will move to me when I click the end turn button 2 more times.
You know, that kind of reminds me of Pillars of Eternity, because it had a similar kind of thing, except it wasn't a grand strategy, but it was like instead of it being a turn-based game, it was a sort of RTS kind of thing. Anyway, the only reason I put this at all is because Thel likes Stellaris, so I wanted to include it, because most of the time I don't give a shit about when games are being ported to other stuff, but
yeah. Well, I do think it's really cool that a grand strategy game is being put on a console.
Yeah. And the thing is, I do like Endless Space a little bit more than Stellaris, mostly because especially like last time I played Stellaris, the mid game is really, really boring in Stellaris. But recently with updates, they fixed that. They've been doing very good with Stellaris, and I wanna give them props for being good developers and continuing to listen to the fans and sort of make their game more fun to play. It's not a lot of that going around. And when there is, I'd like to champion motherfuckers who do that. Good work, Stellaris Devs. You've just done a fucking great job.
Okay, so let's move on.
Yeah.
Sure.
Heroes of the Storm. So, actually, someone in chat was talking about that earlier. They are adding Mephisto to Heroes of the Storm.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Mephisto's cool.
Hell yeah. This actually makes me more excited for all of their, like, they're doing a lot of, like, Diablo stuff, right? This does make me excited more for, like, you know, because this is what they were saying is we have a bunch of Diablo projects in the works. They're putting out Mephisto for this. This feels like they're building up to, like, what's, I mean, you know, probably going to be like a Diablo 2 remaster or a Diablo 1 remaster. They're trying to get us hyped for that shit.
Oh, and by the way, I don't think we mentioned this, because I think it's new news, actually, but I didn't post it anywhere. But Diablo 3 did get confirmed for being on Switch.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember if we talked about that, but it's definitely going to be on Switch now. So
I think we did talk about it last time during the Blizzard's project things. I don't think it was confirmed, but yeah. I want to say something about Mephisto real quick, is that his model in Heroes of the Storm looks really fucking good.
Yeah.
He looks like what is a 3D render of something we saw 20 fucking years ago on 5 pixels, and it looks great. So props to Blizzard's art team, who is always phenomenal anyway.
Yeah, that's, I mean, if you're gonna say anything about Blizzard, is that their art team is very, very good.
Yeah.
Here's a little of Mephisto here. Yeah, I don't know. He's cool enough, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think he looks really cool when you compare it to, because he looks pretty accurate to what Mephisto should look like in a better rendered game.
I'll be honest, I don't really remember Mephisto that much.
Well, that's because we never got past the fucking second act.
No, I've definitely played the whole. I've definitely beat it, and I've played Diablo multiple times. He was never the most memorable character to me, or like enemy to me. I think of some of the other ones from Diablo more, but that's just like a personal thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Mephisto's cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad that, like, he was a long requested character, so at the very least they're giving people what they want.
Yeah.
Oh god. Zed plus Kennen. I don't want to think of League of Legends.
His ult is literally just Karthus ult. It shows the thing above your head and then you take damage globally.
So our last piece of news, this is just a minor thing that seems obvious, but Monster Hunter World passes 10 million units.
Yeah, they did it.
Fucking surprising to anybody. If you even had Steam on release day for Monster Hunter World and you looked at your friends list, it would be every fucking person in your friends list was playing Monster Hunter World.
Constantly, for some reason, relaunching Monster Hunter World, which I thought was really weird.
But that's what Steam would
show. I don't have Monster Hunter World personally, but I would constantly see all of my friends, they would always just be relaunching. Maybe there's something in the game that makes them do that. I don't know. That's what Steam would show when it constantly disconnected people. It would like, blank is playing Monster Hunter, blank is playing Monster Hunter World like every like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that, passing 10 million makes it Capcom best-selling title of all time now.
Good.
Fuck.
Maybe Capcom will finally realize that people actually like Monster Hunter. Maybe.
Oh, that reminds me. They're releasing Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, or like whatever the upgraded version is for the Switch.
Yeah.
So if you want to play Monster Hunter on the Switch, there is the old version of an upgraded version of the 3DS one is going to Switch. So if you like that, that's there.
Good. I did not like Monster Hunter Generations. It's the only Monster Hunter game that I would say that I actively didn't like, but...
I have... Do I have that one? I think I have that one and
Cat.
Monster Hunter 4.
Hi, Cat.
Faces, man.
But that isn't surprising. Should we move on to movie news now?
Yes.
Let's do it.
All right, so let's get started here real quick. First one, Kevin Feige says no to hiring James Gunn back.
Okay.
Yeah. So, which is making it look less and less like James Gunn is going to come back, and it's making it look more and more like, because like obviously this is made Dave Bustier really mad.
Batista.
Batista. Yeah, I keep saying it wrong. I'm sorry.
Batista is literally his wrestler name. I don't.
Yeah. I never watched wrestling.
I mean,
okay.
I only watched a little bit of wrestling, but even then.
Yeah.
I remember seeing YouTube clips of people going Batista, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I don't know. Like, I did think they said that they were planning on keeping his script for the most part, though. They said that any directors might come in and make some changes to it, but ultimately it is going to, at the base of it, the core of it is still going to be his script, and he's going to get a writing credit for it. So
yeah,
right.
Which it was the same thing with what's his name, the Baby Driver guy who directed, I can't remember anyone's names on this podcast when it comes down to it, who wrote for Ant-Man. It was the same thing.
Better than me, man. Like
Yeah.
I'm bad with names all the time, so
I mean, I usually am. That's why I'm glad I live in the fucking Northwest. We just call everyone, "Hey, what's up, man? What's going on, dude?"
I mean, you can get away with that everywhere, so
yeah, fair enough, and that's nice.
I've had classmates for like an entire semester who I literally never knew their name.
Yeah,
and it was fine.
There are people who I've known for years who, like, I forget their names because I'm also a dumb idiot.
Most of the time, if I try to remember somebody's name, I will forget it, but I will incidentally get somebody's name stuck in my head. Like,
oh, no.
While I was going through high school, I knew all of the names of all of my classmates, and I hated every single one of them, but I knew their names, damn it!
All right, yeah. Next thing.
No offense, Eric.
Netflix.
Netflix is testing out commercials. What it's doing is it's putting like commercials in between episodes for other shows on Netflix. People don't like that.
Okay. So I don't think I think advertisements is a more apt word than commercials, because commercials implies to me that it's like for cars. Right?
Yeah, or like for yeah, that's true.
It's just, like a 10-second clip of a different show on Netflix. Personally, I think that's fine. I would rather be informed of potential other shows I want to watch on Netflix, because I feel like one problem I have on Netflix is there's a lot of shit on Netflix that I've never heard of, and I don't know if it's good or not, or if I'd even be interested in the concept, so I have to like actively search for stuff on Netflix a lot of the time.
Right.
How do you guys feel about it? So I kind of generally like it that there's ads, but I could see why people would be upset.
I am completely against it, purely because of the fact, remember back when people bought cable? They bought cable to escape ads.
Do you know?
I know that.
Do you know what the advertisements are for and when they show up?
They show up at the end. They show up between episodes, and they are for Netflix shows.
Yeah. They show up between episodes on that 15-second countdown that you already are going through.
No,
anyway,
you have to actually press the skip button. It doesn't.
No, you don't. They are showing ads during the 15-second countdown between episodes. We were watching The Office last night.
Talking about how they had to actively skip it. Like they actively had to press the skip button.
You have to actively press the skip button to get to the next episode, just like you always have.
No, I automatically get. No. What I was hearing was it stops the countdown.
Well, that's wrong, because I don't know if you got them, but when we were watching The Office last night, I was getting them in between episodes of The Office, and we still stayed perfectly synced. So,
really? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it is for sure during that 15-second cooldown.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or countdown.
So, like, I don't think it's a big deal. I didn't get Netflix to skip ad to not have to watch Brawny.
But that's why a lot of people did.
I don't think that this. I don't know. I am not against it telling me about other shows, like in that cooldown or in that countdown. I don't know. Even if it did at between the loading or whatever, like between episodes, like actually stop you. If it's like a 10-second thing that you have to actively skip, I would still probably be okay with it. It's not the same. I don't think this is a slippery slope scenario. I think this is literally them just trying to get people to stay looking at other stuff on Netflix and informing people of other shows on Netflix. I don't think, like, if if they start showing watch commercials and shit, then people will really lose their minds. And
Yeah,
then
I would be upset
agree.
if-
100.
I would be
full
upset if I had to watch a shitty fucking car commercial in between every episode. But like,
But if it's another show on Netflix, I'm not concerned about it personally.
Right.
yeah, if I'm watching The Office and it's like, all right, 10 seconds of dead air, we'll fill this with hey, go watch Knights of the Zodiac. Okay, now The Office again.
Are they?
It's like,
does
I
it
don't
play
really care.
audio or is it just like a picture?
I'm
pretty sure it plays audio. And that's the thing. What they do is they also have like those ads like when you first launch up Netflix, like
No, those I
above all
hate.
other
Those
stuff.
I hate a million times more because they play audio, and I don't always like. This might sound weird, but I don't want it to play audio.
Those ones actually don't automatically play audio. They start out as video, and you can like unmute them if you want.
No, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. If you have it up, and you don't scroll past it, if it's on your screen, it unmutes itself.
Really?
It starts out muted unless you leave it up. And
Okay.
it's usually at the top of the page, so if I just open Netflix and then walk away, it starts playing on its own.
right.
Yeah.
And then
And that annoys the shit out of me. I would rather like
Yeah.
things should never play audio until I say they can. Like in my mind.
Definitely agreed.
yeah.
Also,
So,
there's
like-
a little like bell that like shows you other things that you're interested in. Up
I
in the
do like
corner.
that. Yeah, I look
Yeah.
at that too.
Yeah, but you might
And
like
also there's the recommended thing. So it's like for me it's like there's a lot of other stuff that they're using for this exact same thing that they don't need to like and it isn't even interrupting, it is just like I don't like the idea of it. I don't it doesn't feel good. And a lot of people don't like it either, so they're probably not going to go ahead with it.
Here's the thing, like, it's not like it's interrupting it to try to sell you something else. You already have Netflix if you're seeing these ads. It's not trying to sell you a new product and tell you to go spend money, consume, eat, marry, reproduce. It's not like it's doing that. It's just saying, here's something else that you have already that you could watch right now if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't feel, it feels like what people are saying is just a huge overreaction. Because
I agree, but I understand. I understand Thel's position wholeheartedly. Like, I get that certain people just never want to watch ads, and they feel like if they're paying for a paid service, they shouldn't have to worry about it. It's the same thing with HBO. I think HBO does also do this, though, but that's...
Yeah. Yeah, I know HBO does, like, at least with their channel, they put, like, ads for, like, all of their stuff, like, before the show starts.
Yeah, they might have like a 5-second clip at the beginning of an episode of Game of Thrones that talks about something else. So yeah. I don't know. Like, I also agree this does seem like an overreaction to me, but I totally get it. So
right. So the next thing on here is these people are going to the movies again this summer. I don't think it was a super good summer for movies because like. The big movies,
garbage summer for movies.
It's been kind of a garbage summer, but people have been going seeing movies. People have spent. Last year there was an abysmally bad summer, which continued to look like the death of Hollywood. Which I was like, oh god, yeah. But this summer people are spending money on movies. So all right, people go to the movies this summer.
Yeah, it's up 11%, despite having worse movies.
Yeah, despite. Yeah.
There's just been like nothing. There's been nothing good this summer in my mind. Like,
well,
usually
like,
you can count on at least one
big.
good movie coming out, or at least maybe not good, but one interesting movie coming out every week. But lately, I've been skipping more and more movies.
Yeah, I would say that one of my favorite movies of this year came out this summer. My brain has died. Sorry to Bother You came out this summer, and it was one of my favorite movies. But of course, that's not like the kind of movie that I would think would be like a big. It's not a big summer blockbuster. You know what I'm saying? It's like sort of a smaller movie that came out in the summer. But yeah, it's crazy that a lot of people are going kind of crazy about this sort of thing.
That's the thing. Yeah. Like, I'm not necessarily saying there should be more Marvel movies, but it would be nice if they shifted one of their Marvel movies more solidly in the summer.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Well, it's usually they do Usually they do. Usually that's the big summer movies that bring in the big bucks. But it's like there were a couple like smaller movies, like the Mr. Roger movies is apparently really good. I haven't seen it yet. And there was Sorry to Bother You, but it's like those weren't the big summer movies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Sorry to Bother You is an indie movie. Crazy Rich Asians is kind of like a bigger. It's like an actual rom-com that's like has any sort of appeal. Yeah. And then there's the 8th Grade, which is another indie movie that was out. Yeah. But I lived through 8th grade, and I don't want to think about it again. Right. So I don't need to see a movie about the 8th grade. Right. I don't know.
So the next one is that Amazon is throwing its hat in to buy Landmark Theaters.
Oh, those poor theater workers.
Oh, they're throwing their hat in a bid to grab a theater chain, which this kind of also goes in with our studios can't like own theater chains thing that we were talking about last week, which I don't think has reached a resolution yet. But Amazon does also produce movies. They have had a movie studio and have been producing stuff. So
they can't do it then.
We don't know. They're trying.
I don't know, because
Amazon is like
I feel like there's a loophole here somewhere.
Yeah, like maybe possibly because of the fact that like Amazon is a service for other things. Like it's a grocery store basically. It's an online making service, but they also happen to make movies and they also happen to own theaters. It's something like that, and that's what they're using to buy it.
Maybe it's just like they're not allowed to play their own movies in it. Maybe because I don't think there's a ton of like movies. They don't make a ton of movies, right?
Yeah,
they are working on a couple of them specifically for Amazon Prime Video, but like really they don't do a ton of it. And I don't know, like I wouldn't lament this as poor theater workers because they bought Whole Foods, and Whole Foods is still a grocery store, so I don't know.
Well, yeah, Whole Foods is still a grocery store, but I feel like I don't know. I've never worked at Whole Foods, but if they wanted to buy like the company that I worked for, I would probably quit.
Why?
Because all of the people in the Amazon warehouse work in fucking slave labor conditions, and I don't want to.
That's not the same thing. That's not the same thing. Yes, the way that they treat their like shipping people is pretty garbage, but that's not nearly the same. Like I went to Whole Foods. It's exactly the same. The only difference now is everything has like 15% off, more off if you have Amazon Prime on like half the store.
So like it's like what they do is they buy up a company and they keep like basically how that company ran pretty much the same. It's just their own stuff that like they have like complete control over and started. That's where they treat people like shit.
Well, here's the difference.
That's where Jeff Bezos' slaves labor comes in.
Here's the difference though. Like you're not, if you work in a warehouse at Amazon, you are treated like crap, but you're not treated that much worse than other warehouse jobs. If you work in retail, you have to be treated at least similar to other real retail jobs. You know what I mean? Like,
I guess, yeah.
Like,
because you're working with customers and the customers could see that you're being treated like a slave and being fed scraps.
Yeah.
Well, and just that if retail jobs are everywhere. If they don't treat their retail job or their retail employees good enough, they'll just go work somewhere else. Like, it's not the same as a warehouse job, which immediately like they hire a lot of people who are not necessarily as educated or skilled in other things. Right. So like there's definitely trade-offs that they like, have a larger pool to pick from for warehouse jobs. So
yeah, and not only that, but like Amazon is running like it's not a monopoly, but they have like a stranglehold on the on like that. Like they have most of the warehouse jobs. Like they're the ones who are sending everything out, like probably more than anyone else. You know, so there's more Amazon warehouse jobs. So they're sort of like taking risks with how shitty they can treat people. But thanks to the internet, they're getting a lot of shit for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are other warehouse jobs, but
But oh yeah,
I don't know.
absolutely. Yeah.
There are advantages to working at Amazon, even if it's not great.
Yeah.
It's not
Even
any.
if you
I
literally
don't know.
ate fear for your job for taking a bathroom because they legitimately monitor you 24/7. Well, not 24/7, at least while you're on the job, so your 8-hour workday.
Right. Well, 10-hour workday because it takes an hour
Yeah.
to leave, but
Yeah. And people like being just like almost passing out from dehydration because they are afraid to go get a drink of water because
yeah.
the fucking
No,
Amazon
I've
drones
heard
are
all of the horror stories, but
Yeah.
like, it's not. It's still a warehouse job, and it's one
It's
of the
different
worst
than-
warehouse jobs, but it's different than retail.
Right.
But yeah. So the next one, Jurassic Park is returning to theaters for its 25th anniversary. So if you want to watch Jurassic Park in theaters, you can do that.
Okay.
Yay! The next one, Bruce Campbell is apparently working on the Evil Dead game, and we know this because, as Saine was talking about, he said that he was going to retire the character a little while ago of Ash, but that he is still contractually obligated to do some stuff, one of which is an Evil Dead game.
Huh.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's interesting.
And our last piece of
It
news
looks
is...
like it'll be a VR title from the article.
Oh boy.
I think that might be.
Oh no, this is a separate. The article says it is a separate.
It says
project
hopefully it's a separate product. I don't think we know.
Okay.
There's speculation about it.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think it's the same thing, but who knows?
Next thing is something that I've been following with this podcast a little bit. Jack Nicholson has dropped out of the Tony Erdmann remake, the American Tony Erdmann remake. The reason that he originally wanted to be in this movie, he was going to retire, but wanted to be in this movie because he really liked the original. But unfortunately, he decided, I'm not gonna do it. It apparently wasn't out of like malice, like he wasn't angry that they were like destroying the source material or anything. Like I would like bathe in the Schadenfreude if they did that, but it was just like, I'm too old for this shit. I can't do this anymore.
They killed me in the last movie I was in.
So yeah. So he has dropped out of that, which I don't know who they're gonna get to replace him. We'll have to wait and see. I'm not super excited for an American remake of Tony Erdmann because
I've never heard of Tony Erdmann.
I talked about it on the podcast a couple months ago.
I remember that, mostly because I remember tagging it.
Oh yeah, fair enough. So yeah, and that's about it for the movie news.
Huh.
Also, I spelled it wrong.
Oh no.
Oops.
It's Erd with an E.
Yeah.
Oops.
That's it for movie news. I think we're done then,
I think
right?
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
that's
that's
it.
about
We're
it.
good.
So, what do you got coming up on your channel this week, Dalsson? What are you
On
playing?
my Twitch channel, I'm probably just going to be playing more Monster Hunter. I'm in love with it. I can't stop. It's the best fucking Monster Hunter game to date. That's it.
Probably
if you're
true.
excited for more Monster Hunter,
More Monster Hunter.
tune in.
We might
More
play
Monster
something
Hunter.
else. That might happen.
Maybe. We'll
Maybe.
have to wait and see.
You shouldn't have linked that
Um,
CNN article because now my Steam VR won't go away.
Oh,
Same.
Should have found a different mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
So for the YouTube channel, I have planned the beginning of a series of. They're not weapon tutorial videos for Monster Hunter exactly. They're more like sketch shows with some information about how to use your weapon.
Basically.
I'm not gonna be like, okay, so this move does 45 damage, this move does 70 damage, this move does 50 damage, but it comes out faster than the other two moves. It's not gonna be any of that. I'm just gonna be like, should you block on the greatsword? No, asshole. Don't fucking do it.
Yeah.
It's mostly gonna be more in the style of Thel's little Hollow Knight sketch comedy videos.
Yeah.
With
All right.
some information on how to do it.
Thel, do you have any videos
Look
coming
forward
out?
to that.
Yeah, gonna work on a Doom video.
Oh boy.
Doom.
I'm very excited for it went on sale and a lot of people bought it, and I feel like now is the right time to make a video on Doom because I love Doom. I love the Doom 2016. It's so much fun. I've beaten it multiple times. It's wonderful.
It
makes me
is
happy to
fucking
play.
great. It's phenomenal.
I shoot demons. I have a special love in my heart for a very specific genre of games. Of fast action, blood-filled video games with satanic imagery. It's the more of those we get.
Doom?
Mm-hmm. And Diablo.
And Diablo.
I wouldn't say Diablo is particularly fast action. I was thinking
Why
more Path of
not?
Exile.
Well, Path of Exile.
I think Diablo 3 is just as fast, if not faster, than Path of Exile.
Well, Path of Exile is all about clear speed, but Diablo 2 is pretty darn slow.
Really?
Not super slow, but like the only thing you really rush through in Diablo 2 is bail runs with your stupid teleport sorcerer. That's it. The rest of it, you just kind of you go and you kill dudes.
I don't think it's that much slower.
Yeah.
You just have more options in Path of Exile. But like you can
Well,
build yourself
the
pretty
thing is,
fast
like,
in that game.
Yeah. It's more about like I don't know. I always felt like the gameplay in Diablo 2 was like really fast. Maybe that's just because I was comparing it to Diablo 1, but it felt like I was constantly rushing in between camps of demons and murdering them indiscriminately, busting into rooms, just killing tons and tons of demons. I love that stuff. It felt very arcadey. Maybe I'm wrong or something, but I don't know.
No,
Felt like
I kind of
with,
agree. I kind of agree with you. I think
I
Path
think
of Exile is faster, but to call Diablo 2 slow is like, not what I wouldn't agree with that.
Yeah, maybe it's not slow. I think the genre has gotten faster, even including Diablo 3.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking at a screenshot from Diablo 2 and there are 7 enemies on the screen. There's not a point in time you would ever find only 7 enemies in Path of Exile or Diablo 3. So I'd probably just like
I don't know, but
some of those M camps had like tons and tons.
Yeah.
There's some news that we missed.
Oh no, what was it?
Little Nightmares hits 1 million sales.
Oh, nice.
And
Little Nightmares is good.
And Realm Royale lost 93% of its player base.
How? What happened?
Fortnite's better. It's not, but that's probably why they lost their player base.
I wouldn't think that would make them lose their player base.
It peaked at 105,000 concurrent players 2 months ago, and then since then has lost 93%.
Oh no.
Understandable.
It was probably people decided to try it out and then stopped because they sort of got Battle Royale fatigue like we did.
Yeah.
Or they're like, there's, I don't know. It felt like a weird middle ground between two different games that you would probably rather just play one of the two other games.
Right.
Yeah, fair enough.
Anyway, I just wanted to like touch on that a bit because we care about Little Nightmares. So
yeah, we like Little Nightmares. Little Nightmares, good game, love it.
It's done good for us too.
Oh yeah, good for us too. Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's it for our show this week. If there's nothing else anyone wants to say,
that's about it.
There is one last thing that I want to say.
All right, go ahead.
Stay beautiful.